Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this new video, and today what I'm going to do is continue rendering, continue working on this piece of art that I have. And this is from Fall of Man, and yeah, you've seen some of the, I've shown you some other videos of me working on this. Like for example, I've shown you how I rendered this claw, or how I started rendering the claw. I also showed you how I rendered the side of the building here. I've done a little bit more. I've rendered the monster, and so you can see the monster in the full monstrous form. Now I'm going to work on this character, and he is one of the main characters of the book. And so yeah, so let's get right into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So yeah, so I'm gonna be working today with two microns. The O2 is my go-to, and also the 005 right there. So I'm gonna get started, and I apologize for any of the background noise. But yes, so as you can see, I have already penciled out a lot of the character, and so you can see he's I normally don't do this, but he's pretty much rendered out. So I'm just gonna go over what I already have here. Some things I'm gonna keep, some things I'm gonna erase. But here you have a very good idea of what the character is going to look like. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get right to it. I'm gonna start here on the face, around the head, I should say. And yes, there's I'm gonna end up erasing all of these lines. So I'm gonna erase that in a moment. I hope you can see this right here. Making sure that I got some of these main lines. Let's see. That should be about it. Alright, so from here, for example, I got a good amount of lines, so I have a good idea of where I'm going to render. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase everything, all of these pencil marks. Yeah, normally in some of these famous inkers and their YouTube videos, you see how they ink, but you don't see like what happens after they ink, if they keep the inks over the pencils, or if they erase the pencils, and if they do, what do they do? Yeah, I've seen many videos where everything looks perfect, and then you don't. Well, me personally, I don't know like what happens to the pencils afterwards. Do they keep it, or do they erase them? And I ask this because like when you scan it, and since I'm working with these kinds of pencils, these marks appear on the scan. So I don't want that. I want it to be just fully inked. So I want just the ink to pop out. So so what do they do? So in most, I've seen some people, or at least they've said no, that I erased the pencils. Now why am I so curious about this? Is because when I erase, I don't know if you can see this. I'm sorry, but when I erase, sometimes the ink gets pulled up. I guess I don't know if it's like so strong, or I don't know what it is. But when I erase, it pulls the ink up, and what does that do? It creates a very dull black. And it's just to give you an example, like here, I inked this quite recently, and here, this is something that I inked last week, I think. And as you can see, for example, here, this is a little bit dull. I don't know if you can make that tell that difference, but here's a little bit sharper black. So I'm gonna go over this again. No, but when you go with an eraser, it just makes it even worse. So I'm always curious at how the pros do it. But some of them say that they erase it. Some of them work with blue pencils and then it doesn't appear. I don't know. I've tried blue pencils and it still appears. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But anyways, in my case, I just draw the lines that I need that help guide me, and then I render the figure as I have it here. So you're gonna see exactly what I do in just a moment with this, and you'll have an idea. Actually, I'm sorry. I need to use this one. For the contour, I'm using this so we can see that Fudenosuke brush pen. Why? Because I want the characters to be somewhat readable. I don't want them to get lost in the hatching. So a good strong black outline can kind of make them pop a little bit, make it a little bit easier to see. And so yeah, I want to do that for this character also. At least where I can, because those fingers are pretty thin. Hope you can see that. And so in my case, I do just like the primary lines that I need for the drawing, and then I erase all the pencils, and then I go back and render the lines that I have left. So I'm not like those artists that you see that post their fully rendered pencils. Yeah, my pencils are never that tight. I mean, I can make them like that tight, but since I ink my own stuff, since I'm going to be the one inking, I also want to have a good finished product, so I don't fully render. I could also argue that it saves time, but how much time do you really save? If I do this, if I go all out like this with the rendering, how much time do you really save? So yeah, I never fully render my pencils. And when you're rendering, you don't necessarily need to do the contour, do the outline of this first. It's just something that I'm doing right now, I guess, just for the sake of this drawing. But you don't really need to do that. You can actually render it first and then do the contour. It's whatever your preference is. And yeah, this is just what I'm doing in this particular drawing. There's been other cases where I've rendered it first and then do the contour. And it doesn't change the outcome. It's still, the drawing is still the same. It's just a different way of rendering, and yeah, you don't have to do exactly what you see me do here. That's what I'm going for. Like, not, that's the message that I'm trying to give you. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing here. You can switch it around if you like. Whatever's more comfortable for you. Sorry for the background noise. I think I did pretty good there. So now, I'm going to use the O2, this O2, to render, to do the contour for this other part. And that's pretty good. Sorry if I'm confusing the crap out of you guys. Move the paper around too much. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now I'm gonna do a small version of spotting blacks. So I'm just going to just find areas where I think it'd be heavily rendered in black, and then go over them in black. I think that'll be it. That. Pretty good. This part here. And here. In case you haven't noticed, I live in the city, so everything's outside. Everybody's outside. So in the city, there's a close proximity to everything else. So I step outside, I see my neighbors, I see everybody down the street. Yeah, so I can hear everything that's going on nearby. Now what I'm doing is rendering. Rendering is when you define the shape a little bit more with lines that indicate how the shape of the character is, how it might move. In my opinion, rendering is the most fun. I love rendering, which is why I probably over-render everything I do. But I like it. It looks good. What can I do? I don't know. I guess I grew up with that kind of comic art, and that was heavily rendered. Like, for example, Tom McFarlane, he did a lot of rendering. And now that he's got digital devices, it's even worse than it was back in the day. Worse in the sense that if he over-rendered a lot before, now there's no stopping the guy. Because what I've seen him do, for example, is I've seen him work on a character like this, and then with a tablet, or whatever he uses, he just zooms in and then zooms in and then just dives into the rendering. And yeah, that's what I see him do now. Some lines help to define the shape. Other lines are there to help help the viewer know that this particular surface is torn, destroyed, or what have you. So, rendering lines serve a lot of distinct purposes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Not too much. It's not too much else to do with this guy. Now the outside part, this electricity part. And yeah. And rendering is fun. Rendering, however, does not make a drawing good. In my opinion, what makes a drawing good is the foundation, the base drawing. The actual line art of the figures and the things that you're drawing. I think that's what makes for a good drawing. If you get your base done right, then you can either render or not render, and the drawing would still look good. Like, rendering is not going to make up for the fact that your drawing is out of proportions, or the proportions are messed up, or that the curves and the lines are in the wrong position. Rendering won't help you interpret motion. Like if you're drawing a character, or I guess to some extent it might. Like if you're rendering like speed lines and things like that, I guess I could help interpret motion a lot. But if your gesture is not dynamic and it's not drawn right, then it doesn't matter how much you render. It's not going to make it seem like it's as if it's moving or as if it's in motion. Sorry to be redundant. But yeah, so the base work, in my opinion, is the most important. It's normally what I take the most time on because I want to make sure that it's right. Also, when I do proportions and stuff like that, that's when I take the most time. In future videos, I would like to talk to you about some of the things that I learned and do some sort of like how-to video, but I don't know, I'm not an authority on this stuff, but at least I can interpret what I learned from my time drawing. I meant this to be like a 3-4 minute videos, 18 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know how long this is gonna be, but it's already longer than I had expected. No worries. Yeah, this electricity is right there. Now I just gotta do the top part. I don't go for a thicker line on this because I don't want the electricity to stick out too much. And the contour is necessary on the body because the body has weight, the body has it produces shadows and things like that, so it needs darker, it needs like heavier blacks in the shadows and stuff, but electricity, no, so electricity should be uniform. At least the line weight should be uniform all across. Should be the same width. last few stages of this piece. Should be finished hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be finished. And I have to get this scanned. And then if there's any like serious imperfections or mistakes or something that I made, then I have to continue working on it in digital. And in digital, I'll just touch up on like a few things. Like for example, if I were to go over a line where I didn't want it to go, I can erase it in digital and do a couple of things like that digital. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is the character rendered out. Yeah, and I hope you like it. Sorry for the background noise. And yeah, you'll be able to see this piece in the upcoming comic Fall of Man by A.G.E Comics. You can follow them on Twitter. I'll have all of their information in the description below. Please give them a follow. They have some really good ideas in mind for some upcoming projects. And this is just one of them. But yeah, I'm still going to continue working, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. The likes help out a lot for the algorithm. Also, please subscribe if you don't mind. I guess you can also share the video out. And yeah, also in my case, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll put all of my social media information in the description below, so you can see all of my art. And yeah, that'll be it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Take care. Goodbye.